Good morning from the second age of reason. I'm here just to bring you a few thoughts on the troubles in Puerto Rico. It was hit by a rather nasty hurricane which damaged the infrastructure to a great extent. Puerto Rico is not an American state. It is not a nation. It is a territory, or more specifically a colony. And so it has a different status than American states or American other sovereign territory. Well, territories are colonies. And so there's a problem because they were not given all the same protections that states have and the same powers that states have, and they have somehow gotten themselves into billions of dollars of debt. Maybe like $72 billion. And there's reasons behind that go into history. But now, after the hurricane, they have lost almost all their electricity, almost all the fresh water infrastructure, and so they need to reconstruct. They need to rebuild housing, they need to rebuild roads, they need to rebuild electrical power, they need to rebuild water systems. And there's just all this haranguing going back and forth, and it's like the current administration says, well, why is this our problem? They don't realize that president is the president also of Puerto Rico, and it needs to be fixed. And they could say the Puerto Rico people are lazy, they could say the Puerto Rico people are too poor, they can't afford to rebuild because they haven't even started paying their other debts. They could say that, well, it's not our job. They could do all that sort of thing. But the task is at hand. You have millions of people in need of some kind of reconstruction. And they don't have the money for reconstruction. And you won't let them be independent, and you won't let them be a state. So you're kind of stuck with this piece of white elephant property. It's your property, isn't it? Isn't that kind of how you're going? Like, you've put this austerity board in charge who overrides the elected officials. It's kind of like the way it works in, like, Greece. And so you have this problem that you need to reconstruct the nation. But what do? You have several options here. You can choose to do nothing and let it be suffering, and like the mayor of San Juan says, everybody's dying. And while they're not dead today, it will happen. Secondly, you can choose to reconstruct. And if you do that, you can put them under more debt and they would just never get paid. Or you can give them a grant, and you can do it either of two ways. There's two ways to reconstruct. One is to reconstruct the infrastructure the way it should be. You're the Americans, you have know-how, you have technology, you have knowledge, and you have resources. You can rebuild Puerto Rico with a hardened infrastructure that can take hurricane storms, that can withstand the elements, that can withstand the seas and the winds and the electrical disturbances. You can give them that as a gift and have it as a new foundation to start over. Because the slate has been wiped clean, and you can do with it how you know best. You can build it so it won't be broken again. You can. You can also build it the other way, which is you can say, well, we know these storms are going to come, and we will just simply make it so that the stuff might or will get damaged, but we're going to make it easier to clean up. We're going to make it easier to re-hook everything up and repair it, make it modular like Lego blocks or something, so that when the damage comes next time, it's an easy job to clean up and an easy job to put something down inexpensive that will last until the next storm. That's another way of doing it. You just have to work with the engineers to come up with the right plan. You have the knowledge, you have the ideas, and you can then do a cost-benefit analysis, say what's it look like over the next 100 years, and see what makes sense. And you do it then as a grant. You're saying, we're putting this in as a grant to Puerto Rico. You could say, well, we require Puerto Rico to make a commitment, maybe the commitment to vote for statehood, or the commitment not to vote for statehood. It's a simple demand, the commitment to give them financial autonomy, to zero out their debts and say, hey, we've cleared this up. Now, are you going to take over your affairs? And, we don't hear Cuba crying for help, and they're just next door. Of course, the plan right now is it's just the plan to repair with profits. You get whoever gets the lowest bid to repair something. And has there been any requirements? Has there been any criteria for what the results are? Or are they just taking the lowest bids? And then you get a system that says it's rebuilt, but it's rebuilt really cruddy, or it's rebuilt just for the few who are willing to pay for it because they are the richest ones and most influential on the island. So we'll have to wait and see how it shakes out. But I just thought, you have a clean slate. This is your chance to show that you know how to do it. You know how to build a civilized country from the bottom up. You can do it right, and you can do it right the first time. And it will last. And then that will be your legacy. You can say, look what we did in Puerto Rico. Isn't it great? And people will then marvel, and you'll have a good reputation. So I thought I'd leave that with you. If you have any ideas or further suggestions, please post them down below with the comments. And until later, we'll be seeing you.